Audi SQ5 long-term review this morning. The 1 millionth Audi Q5 drove off the production line in Audi's factory in Ingolstadt. The popular mid-size SUV is still doing extremely well with over 266,000 Q5s sold to customers worldwide last year. First introduced in 2008, the second-generation Q5 is due to be unveiled later this year. The Sepang blue Audi SQ5 pictured above goes to a family in Germany, along with production facilities in India and China. The total Audi Q5 production topped 1.6 million cars this month. Since 2014 we have had an Astoral blue Audi SQ5 in the Spirit garage. And now might be a good moment to reflect on 2 years, and 30,000 kilometers with our 313 horsepower V6 turbocharged diesel car. Interestingly, Audi sells the SQ5 with a diesel engine in Europe but with a petrol engine in the United States, and some other countries. I was never a diesel fan, and would have probably opted for the petrol version if it was available, but now 2 years later I have become a fan of the diesel's tremendous torque of 650 Nm. The fabulous engine is paired with an 8-speed ZF gearbox, the same gearbox you can also find in most Bentleys among others, with flappy paddles behind the steering wheel which I never really use. The SQ5 weighs a bit over 2 tons with driver, so it is by no means light. The ride is quite stiff, and on multiple occasions I miss air suspension or adaptive suspension at least. With Audi's Drive Select we can change a lot of things about the ride between comfort and dynamic, engine, gearbox, steering, and sound, but not the suspension. Especially with the large, but stunning, 20-inch wheels, it makes the ride rather harsh on unsmooth surfaces. On the upside, it corners way better than you would expect from a 2-tons SUV. It looks great. From all SUVs I believe it has the best proportions. Not too big, not too small, and the smooth, round design with LED lights front and rear just make it look appealing and cool. Especially at night the rear LED lights look stunning. Inside everything just works. Ergonomics are great even for tall people like me. 190 meters, the infotainment screen is a bit small, but in combination with the display between the speedometer and the rev counter there is always enough information. Our SQ5 is pretty much full option, but a few things I really like. Panoramic roof, an option I had never chosen before, but it had so much light to the cabin that I am really happy to have it now. Adaptive cruise control, a must for a daily driver in my opinion. Works great between 30 and 200 kilometers per hour. Sadly it is an early version of the system, so below 30 kilometers per hour the system switches off. On new Q5s it should also work in traffic jams. Climate control, a must. Wi-Fi hotspot, great when you or your passengers run out of data, and ideal to stream Spotify during the drive. Parking sensors front and rear, and rear view camera, just convenient when parking in tight spots. Is there anything I miss on our SQ5? Yes, a few things. Adaptive cruise control with traffic jam assistance would be nice, but I believe that is available on the 2016 Q5 already. I also miss seat cooling to keep your back cool on hot summer days. Adaptive dampers or air suspension would be very welcome too. Over 30,000 kilometers we had one service done, nothing to repair, and with oil change etc. cost around €600. The fuel consumption comes in at around 10 liters per 100 kilometers. If you drive a lot of highway you can probably get it down to 8 liters, but since we drive a lot in cities, and on the unlimited German Autobahn 10 liters is acceptable. I already praised the engine of the SQ5, and I also have to praise its performance. Acceleration from 0-100 km per hour is done in just 5.1 seconds, and it tops out at 250 km per hour with the feeling it has quite a bit to spare. On the German Autobahn it feels very confident also. Steering inputs are very direct, and driving above 200 km per hour for longer periods of time is less exhausting than in many purpose-built sports cars. One last thing is the sound. Thanks to Audi's sound engineers, it has a proper, yes, I know it, fake soundtrack which makes it sound anything but like a diesel. I once had another car journalist in the car with me, and after an hour or so on the Autobahn he asked if it was a V6 or V8 petrol engine. Time to draw a conclusion. Our 2014 Audi SQ5 is a pleasure to drive, very practical, and attractive at the same time. I hope the next gen will offer a slightly more comfortable suspension setting, and retain some of the current Q5's cool design, as I am not a big fan of the new Q7 design. Inside, a larger infotainment screen, and upgrades to the latest tech for infotainment and assistance systems are welcome too. But for now I am very happy with our Astoral Blue SQ5, and will definitely put a few thous and more kilometers on it.
Exclusive 2017 Mercedes-AMG GTC Roadster First Impression Review. AMG S911 Killer DOS T led off, 2 years after the launch of the spectacular GT Coupe, Daimler S High Performance Sub BR, and announced a drop top derivative. And now we got a chance to ride along with AMG chief Tobias Mowers late in the development process. This particular drive took place in around Las Vegas. The desert metropolis is predestined for the GT Roadster. It symbolizes excess and glamour, and the contrast with the surrounding landscape is compelling. The bizarre rock formations, and the GR and IOS canyons are accessible by beautiful open roads, some of which are rather lightly patrolled. We call that perfect conditions for a spirited drive in these awesome cars, an entry-level GT Roadster, and a GTC Roadster. Las Vegas, by the way, wasn't too much of a detour. The cars were traveling anyway from the west coast to proving grounds near Phoenix, Arizona. En route, there is famous Death Valley, where car makers used to test their cars under extreme conditions. But it has been reclaimed by the tourists. There is less and less testing. Mowers tells us AMG was there for a final time last year. We can test everything in Arizona, without cops, nosy tourists, and spy photographers. The two variants Mowers was kind enough to bring along mark the corner points of the lineup. The entry-level wins. GT Roadster makes 456 horsepower, the GTC Roadster is rated at a full 550 horsepower. There will be an AMG GTS Roadster, too, rated at 503 horsepower, just like AMG will have a Mercedes-AMG GTC Coupe. Ah, the beauty of the corporate parts bin. Convertibles are supposed to look pretty, but even at first glance, these roadsters look even more angry than their coupe siblings. That is courtesy of the new grille, wide at the bottom, and inspired by the classic 300 SL Panamericana, a real AMG styling element that was seen first on the GTR Coupe. It has been slightly debased by the fact it features on the facelifted SL, including non-AMG versions. Nevertheless, it is impressive, and you would be correct to guess that it will soon appear on coupe versions of the AMG GT as well. The Mercedes-AMG GTC Roadster is just stronger than the GT Roadster. It sports a wider track, a wider body, and far fetching chassis modifications. The ride control, suspension is street, and art here. Tires grow from 255/35 R19 up front, and 295/35 R19 in the rear to 265/35 R19 front, and 305/30 R20 abaft. The front brakes are stronger, there is an all-wheel steering system, and the transmission gains a race mode. Visually, the main difference between the versions is in the rear. The GTC features vertical air outlets left and right, plus a horizontal slit between the taillights that we suspect OS T serve an indispensable function, but sure looks impressive. It takes an expert at the wheel to notice and savor the differences between the GT Roadster's different variations. Tobias Mowers would be the perfect guy to point them out. He knows cars. His career began at AMG when the manufacturer was not yet a treasured sub-BR and of the Daimler juggernaut, but a barely tolerated tuner. Inside, the AMG GT Roadster is barely changed from the coupe. The array of buttons on the ceiling has moved to the center console, otherwise it's a familiar cabin. The calm and position is virtually perfect. The long front hood recalls classic front-engine sports cars, and when the fabric top is lowered, driving becomes an almost romantic experience. But alas, not for the AMG chief. In this development stadium, he is checking all functions, their integration, and the overall harmony of the vehicle. It has a few more months until the driving launch, and customers want to get their cars before spring. The engineers are ironing out the details. Indeed, the trunk lid OS T fit well, and the steering is T calibrated for series production yet, and Mowers noticed one or two more issues that I want to tell you about. No worries. They will be eliminated by the time this awesome roadster hits the market, and then things will get uncomfortable for the 911 Cabrio. Thanks for watching and listening. Please like, subscribe, share and comment.